instance method in the Python programming. A class is a user-defined blueprint or a prototype, as we know, from which objects are created. This part we have seen in the last class. Classes provide some means of bundling data and functionality together, as we have seen, just like in form of the encapsulation format. Creating a new class creates a new type of the objects. Undoubtedly, this is the concept we have seen, and that allowing new stance of that type of to be made. Each class instance can have attributes attached to it for maintaining its state. And if you remember the my words in the last class, we have a two component of a class. And what are the two components or two parts we can say? One is state, another one is functions, or these are known as the methods actually. So functions, methods, data members, these are the naming convention, only nothing else. States, we have seen the data member attributes, all these parts we have seen. So class instances can also have a methods and defined by its class. For modifying its state, definitely we can do. So if you remember the my class, previous class, as we have seen the init method. This method we use by the double underscore we have used, that defines the constructor that is used to initialize the instance variable automatically. If you remember the object-oriented programming features in C++ and Java, an object, when the object is created, the constructor will call automatically. That's the beauty of the constructor. And constructor is nothing just like a member function or methods we can say. And now we have seen the simple function followed by the self. So self refers to the calling objects automatically. That's the point. So this is the concept we have seen. This is enter come into the instance method. Now I was on the my point, so now I'm coming to the back my points over here. Instance variables are not shared between the objects. This is the term which describe that if we have two objects of a class, so from the objects, if I'm creating multiple objects, and what are the object I'm instancing, I'm just defining, I'm using, the each and every object has own identity, so they cannot share the instance variable. Just like example, I'm just calling the x variable from x object, and from the x object I'm defining the marks value 35, and from the y object I'm defining the marks value 40. So both values are different because both are object are different from each other. It doesn't mean both are following by the same classes. So every object has its copy of the instance attribute. So using the instance method, we can access or modify the calling objects attribute. That is a point we have to keep in mind. So our class will be focused on this concept today, and that is known as the instance method in Python programming. So instance method is what actually? Instance methods are defined inside a class, and it is pretty similar to defining regular functions. Okay, so now I'm coming to the point once again. So using the def keyword, so what we have to use, we have to define the instance method in the Python programming, and def means defining the function. That is the point we have to keep in mind. So if you remember the my words, and I'm just coming back to the my statement, what we have to do now. See, so def is used to define the instance method. Please keep in mind that my statement was method. And the self as a first parameter in the instance method when defining it. So the self parameter refers to the current object. This is the point you have to keep in mind. So self is which is the first parameter of the instance measure when defining it, and the self parameter refers to the current object. Okay. So what is the next point? Self. That defines the current, object to access its property. Now, this self self is similar to the this operator or this pointer in the C++. If you remember the C++ programming very deeply, so that is the beauty of the this pointer. If you remember the C++ programming. And next we have a self parameter to access or modify the current object attributes. So next is a self parameter that is used to I'm writing here this would be the self would be the keyword, and this is again a keyword I'm writing here. Please keep in mind. And third parameter will be the parameter. Although we have seen these things in the earlier class, but here I'm just explaining once again to everything deeply, so the picture will be clear in your mind as well. So I'm creating a class. What is a class? I'm just creating a class. Let me put the code over here. If the things are not visible, so please let me know right now. So creating class student. Okay, so class attribute. So in the class attribute, what do we have? We have to define the constructor, and how we can define the constructor. If you remember the previous class, then how we can define class student. I'm just creating the class student. I'm just defining the constructor, and how I can define the constructor. So here I'm putting the example constructor, and how we can define double underscore init, again double underscore, and put the this statement. And here I'm putting the self comma name comma is, and this is a function where I need to put the colon. Now I need to define the instance variable. So how I can define the instance variable? These are the variable which is accessible by our objects. I can define. So I'm just taking the self dot name. Okay, self dot name, and the parameter which is to be passed name. No semicolon is required over here. Next is self dot is. Self dot is equal to is, and this is the structure of this point we have seen. Now instance method. So how we can define the instance method? Instance method to access the instance variable. So how we can define? And let me write instance method to access instance variable. So let me take a simple function by which I can easily access define show, and here I need to pass the one parameter self. If you remember the previous class, so we need to pass self, and I'm just printing something over here. What I need to print? I need to print only the name and age. So I can take the how I can take. It's very simple. Self dot name comma. Let me print some gap for easily accessibility, and self dot is. And this is a simple example for defining the class. Yeah. Okay, students. So now tell me any doubts? So this is concept known as the defining the class and defining the instance methods. Now any doubts so far? There's a way of the I'm taking once again very step by step, so everything will be more clear. Any doubts so far? You can speak over here and tell me the answer. Let me run the code. If there is any issue, so we can get the error. If there is no issue, so our code will compile or run successfully. Yes. Till now, any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay, in between, let me add some code. And what this okay, there is no error. It means I have done everything perfectly over here according to my requirement. So now concept which you know the calling and instance method. That is a beauty. So what is the next our responsibility? The calling, calling and instance method. So how we can access the instance method? It's very simple concept. We use an object, and by help of the dot operator to execute the block of the code and action defined in the instance method we can do. So what we have to do, first we need to create the instance variable name and age of the student class. Next we have to create the instance method, so we have the display or show, we can say, to print the student name and age over here. So here we have taken the show method. Next we have to create a student class to call the instance method. So that's the point. So let us understand how we can do. So first object I'm creating, okay, let me create the first object. I'm just creating the first object. Okay, so first object, so I'm taking the very simple, that is a bsk. I'm just taking the initial value of the my name, student is a class name, and what parameter I need to pass? Yes, can anyone tell me how many, 3 or 2? Yes, how many parameter I need to pass? If you remember the previous class, how many parameters, 2 or 3?
So 3.
Okay, if 3 then why? If 2 then why? See, if you remember the my statement once again, bsk is nothing which is the object name, and student is the name of the class. So we are creating an object, and we are passing the two parameters, name and age, and self is a implicit, so it will call automatically. So with the help of the init method, when we are defining the student, when we are defining the bsk object, it will call automatically which method automatically, that is a constructor that is already defined into our class. So what I'm doing right now, it will call automatically, it will invoke automatically. It will not call, it will invoke, invoke okay. So how many parameter I need to pass? I need to pass only two parameter. One is a name, so I'm writing the my name over here, and other parameter, okay, that is a, okay, please keep in mind, because I put it over here. So this is the first variable I have created in form of the objects. And how we can access the properties of the class? So vsk dot, and what is the name of the method? Show. I have to pass. If I'm doing executing this code, now what I'm getting, please see. I'm able to get the my result over here. Now it is visible to all. It is clear right now. This concept is known as the defining the instance and how we can access. It is clear right now.
Yes, sir.
I'm saving this file. Now you can also create the another variable object. So I'm creating another variable just like this one. Student. Let me write correctly. Student. I'm passing one values. Okay, this one, and just like this one. Okay, and I'm just with the help of the goal is object, and from this object I need to call this one. I'm trying to see what I'm printing or not. So this is the point. So here we have a two object. One is a BSK, another one is a Golu. So you can see over here. And this is known as the calling instance method. That is a point. Please keep in mind. Let me execute once again. So this is the first part of the class we have seen. That is the defining the instance method and how we can access. Is it clear what all? It is clear to all, or anyone who need to ask? So please you can ask.
That through this instance method, we can also change the parameters like name and age.
See, where you're asking? You're asking about the name image. So see, just look at this point right now. I'm just selecting part. So in this init method, what we have, we are defining the constructor. So you just allowed to pass only two parameter, that is a name and age only. You are not allowed to pass the other parameter. Okay. See, as your question you're asking, so let me check. Just temp is kind of the another object I'm creating, and I'm just creating this object by this one. So suppose you're trying to pass the self. So what parameter you will pass? What parameter? Self is just nothing which a keyword that defines to invoke the current object only, as I have already written above. So if I try to pass the integer value first, and then you can pass this one, and then you try to print show, let us check what we are getting. Okay, so we are able to see this point right now. No problem. Name and age. So it's automatically defined. That's the beauty of this point. So now we are getting the everything. Let me check once again this one. Okay. So we are getting everything. So in the Python, there's no specify to define the any data type. It just automatically or implicitly convert data type according to the passing the variables only, nothing else. So here you seem to that just I'm defining the age. So age should be the integer. Definitely should be integer. But in the Python programming, if you remember the Python programming in variable manner, no need to define explicitly data type. It will define data type according to its requirement or passing the parameter or passing the values. That's why we are passing the two distinct type of the values, but we are getting the here everything. So these two values will be the string only, but it is just interpreted implicitly automatically. So age here we are getting the age is just nothing f d g h d. So this is what this is the age will be not age value into the form of the number. It is also treated implicitly as a string only. That's only parameter. But if you think that I can pass the multiple parameter, okay, just like say one. So let us check what we are getting. Here we are able to get the error. Why? The init takes the three position argument, but four were given. That's the reason. Four were given, but implicitly self is just implicitly calling itself. So you're passing the self implicitly plus three explicitly. So four parameters are passing. That is not possible. That's why we are getting there. So we need to pass, we need to allow only two parameter explicitly. Implicitly self will treat it as a automatically by the object calling only. That's the point. So this is the reason. Now it is clear right now.
So actually, my question was that if in the show method, if we pass age and name together with different age and name, we are passing name and age as parameters, but with a
Uh,
different name and age as previously done. So, we can change
uh,
the previous parameters, right?
okay. So you are asking this question. Can I pass this one? So the value should be the thing and this one 99. Now, why we are getting the error? Can you tell me right now? Because in the show method, in this is the instance method, we have not initialized the passing formal parameters over here. Okay, so these are two parameters, one actual parameter, formal parameter. So here we have not defined this actual parameters and how we can pass the formal parameter. Yes, that's true. You can do like this one. You can define. I'm taking another variable. I hope the picture will be clear more to you. Another instance method I'm taking show one, and in the self you can pass comma. Yeah, you can pass over here. Then you can pass like this one. Okay. So while calling this one, and here I'm just okay. So object no attributes has a show one. Let me execute this code first, and then this code. So now this student is printing. See, so why I'm getting this values over again over here? Because these two parameter are passing to this name, and in the name the parameter is passing here, getting the past values. Okay, value. Same thing. It is also getting the same values over here. And from this parameter the name is we are passing. So if we are calling this show one show method many times, so it will print only the okay, it will print only will print only past values. That's the point. So your question we can update by the updating the values, updating the value instance matter. So you are asking the question that is known as a modifying the instance variable inside the inside instance matter, and that can be done by the be done by the update method. That is our next part, but you were asking earlier, so no problem, we can manage. So that is my point. Now it is clear.
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, so you were asking me, sir, I'm just calling the so one many times, but it should be printed the thing, and once like this one, it is not printing like this one. Why it is not giving the? Because because we have here because it will display only past values. Whatever parameter you're passing, it doesn't mean. Okay, let me execute once again to show the my result. No, that's no. So what I'm doing, I'm just modifying this code. So I am just calling the same method and doing some changes over here. Copy the code, and I'm putting the here student one. Okay, my next class. Okay, and here I'm just keeping everything over here except to the something. So what I'm doing, every time in the instance method I'm trying to print over here, so it will print only those things which are required to pass in the objects only. So that is just form only like this way, but I need to update something. So what is what is the my point? I need to update something. So here we have a concept which is known as the updating the instance variable inside the instance method. So here we have to use a method which is known as the update. So let's create an instance method by using the update method to modify the student age and name over here where the student details are changing. So let me take over here. Let me change something over here. So rather than the show one, what I have to do, I have to use the update, and same I'm just writing as it is rather than putting the this one. So now, yeah, this one. I'm just keeping everything as it is, but here I'm putting the update method. So update method is used to update instance variables variables value, so we can say inside instance method. At this point I'm just taking and yeah, writing here for note purpose. I'm executing this code. If there is error, so error will be reported, else we can get it. So now there is no error. It means my code is run perfectly over here. So here I'm creating the first object. Okay. So let me create the first object. So I'm creating the first object that is a VSK1. Okay. And the student, and here I'm passing the first parameter. Okay. Like this way, and I'm putting the age just like this one, and I'm trying to print this one dot show. So can anyone tell me what would be our output? Having seen this code, can anyone tell me what would be the my output?
So Khoshwa and 89.
Yeah, let us check. Yeah, good. But I don't want to print this value. I want to change something. So what is the thing I need to pass? Okay, so let me do something over here. So I'm just creating another object that is a BSK2, and here if I'm passing this value, so how we can update? That's the point. So modifying the instance variable. Okay, so how we can pass the how we can pass? So we have to use update method. So how we can use the update method? By the help of the object. So what is the object? VSK1 dot update. And what are the two parameters? If you remember the update functions, update instance method, that is name and age. So here I am passing the name, that is the Golu, and its age just like 67. And then I'm printing the VSK1 dot show. So now what value I must say over here that should be printed, because we have passed the Kushwa underscore 89, so that should be printed. But by the help of the update method, we are replacing this value. So what we are trying to do over here, we are replacing passed values by update method. This is the point. Please keep in mind all the points. So let us check what we are getting printing. Let me check. Is it true or not? Update method and roll number. Okay, not age is printed and number is printed. I'm updating the both values, not just this method is okay. This one is printing. Oh, actually, what happened in the update method? I need to do something here. I'm trying to print over here. That's why I'm getting the error. So what I have to update? I have to replace this value. Actually, this code I have to update. So name and this is the required to update. I have forgotten to update this code right now. So let me check. Okay, this is the point we have to keep in mind. So let me execute this code once again. Okay, so this will replace the value, and now let me print. Yeah, and now let me execute. Replacing the values, student has no attributes to update. Self define everything is update over here. Instance create. Oh, that is a student one actually. That's my mistake actually. Yeah, this class is belonging to the student one, and this is a student one. Yeah, and now this BSK is an object of the student one. Yeah, this one. Okay, now replace. Now it is clear because what happened earlier? I am taking the student one class, but that should be sorry student, but that should be student one. Okay, so because update method supported by only the student one class only. That's the point you have to keep in mind. Okay, so update method belong to the. Let me write over here for your notes purpose. Update method is a part of student one class. It will help you for the future. So we can replace the value as per our requirement. So this is the update value. It is also possible. So now this is the answer you got it. Then now it is clear right now. So we can modify the instance variable. Earlier I have chosen the wrong class. Now I have use the correct class. So now we are getting these values. Now it is clear right now. So this concept is known as the updating the method or instance variable. So as our required, we can pass over here. Yes, tell me, any doubt? So far what we have seen, we have used a constructor to create the instance attribute, but instance attributes are not specific only to the init method. So that's why we have used the constructor variable constructor. So they can be defined elsewhere in the class. So we have another thing that is the instance variable we can inside define. So that is also possible. Now this concept is clear, or any doubt you need to ask?
It's clear, sir.
Okay, now I have one more question over here. If you remember this class, this name and age, I need to add some more parameter, just marks or maybe the class I can do it at, or date of birth, or maybe the address. This kind of information I need to add. So what I can do? So we have the thing which is known as the instance method. In the instance method, we can add the some instance variable. Okay. Now let me write the something over here to add instance variable uh, inside instance method. That is the point. All these are the small things which help you to make a good projects. Okay. So what I'm doing, I'm just taking this example. I'm not changing anything over here. I'm just taking the same class student one, and here I'm replacing the class name student 2. So next time you have to please keep in mind if anything happening typing mistake with me. So this is the point. So name we have, age we have over here. Now I'm trying to make a new functions. Removing this update part. So after this point, I'm defining the another stance method, which is the add address. Okay, this is a method. Okay, so what I need to pass over here, I need to pass the two parameters. One is self and address. Okay, so this is the self, comma ADR. Okay, ADR means address, and let me put the semicolon and then use. So now let me define the over here. What I can define over here, I can define the something over here, that is adding the new attribute to the current object. So what I'm doing, I'm trying to adding new attribute to the current object. And how we can invoke the current object? Undoubtedly while defining the object, and it's automatically call the two values. One is the name and age only, but we want to add some more parameter as in form of the attribute. So we can do, so what we can do by the help of the yeah by the help of the adding new parameter into the instance method. So this is the concept. Now, so what I have to do, I have to use the self keyword, and then this marks we this not mark, this is the address. So address we can take a double dr equal to a double dr, we can take. Now this is a code we have defined. Whatever the parameter we will pass, it will to the its object variable. So now we are getting, so let us create the first object and then see what we are getting. Let me execute this code. There is an error or not? Let me just keep the little bit size less so we can see. Yeah, design tile. Let me remind you now. Yeah, this is not. uh, this is a part of the this code. So let me write over here. There is a class 2. Let me execute once again and see the result. Class 2. So there is no error over here, and let me add over here. So now I'm creating an object. I'm creating a temp one object, temp 2 object, not one, as per the class student 2. M2. So student 2, and here I need to pass two parameters. What are two parameters? First parameter I'm passing this one, and age I'm taking the 45 only. And now I'm trying to print with the help of the temp2, and now see it should print the sing 45. So let me check it is correctly working or not. So now I'm getting the my result over here. Now, so far everything is clear about the show, and so far what we have done. We need to focus on the address part. So this concept is known as the instancing. Add the instance variable to the instance method. So what is instance method? Add address. And how we are adding? We are having just putting the simple concept only. So how we can add this? So now we need to call the instance method. So how we can add? With the help of the temp2 object, which is the object of the class 2, temp2, and underscore address. This is our method, and here we need to pass the address. So I am passing the address, that is the only Bhopal only. Okay, so this will be executed. And now let me try to get something over here, and let me print temp2 dot show. Let me check what I can print. Can anyone tell me right now what it will print? Can you tell me right now what it will print?
So error.
It will give the error. Just tell me, it will give error or not?
No, so it will not give error.
Okay, so what is the result we are getting? Okay, why we are getting the same result? Can anyone tell me right now? This is simple answer. Everything is in front of the screen. Why we are getting the same answer after adding the new instance variable? Can anyone tell me?
So because we are referring to another variable in the instance method, and the show method is referring to
And
name
that,
and age only.
yeah, super. That is the point. So now we can say like this one. We can print like this one. So temp2 dot temp2 temp2 dot what is the variable name or name? Okay, this one, and now putting the comma and the temp2 with the help of the object we can call it's all the uh, variable. So is now temp2 dot now. This is a variable name a double dr. Yes, this is right. So if I try to execute this code or this statement, last one to the print, now it is showing the Bhopal. So it's just telling to me now, this is a proof. This is a proof that defines address is an attribute that is added to the instance method. Okay, I'm just putting this line over here and pasting over here, and now this is a proof. So we can also add the instance variable as our required. So whenever we need to add, we can also add it. Now it is clear to all right now. This is the beauty of the instance method. Yes, tell me, anyone? Any doubt you have? So please, you can ask me right now. Is it clear? Yes. Any doubt so far?
No doubts.
Okay, good. So we are not binding the all the things over here. We have some more things that is more beauty of the instance variable. Then we can jump to the next part. So let us complete the instance method concept deeply. So dynamically add instance method to an object is also possible. So usually we add methods to a class body when defining a class. So however, Python is a dynamic language. And how we can say, yes, of course, it is a dynamic language. Yes, I'm defining the x equal to 5. So my expectable will be the integer. I'm defining the x equal to the in double code. I'm putting the my name. So that x will be automatically transformed into the string. So Python is a dynamic language. So that allow us to add or delete the instance method at runtime. So here, what we are defining, we are just trying to add the instance variable as a statically before by the compile time. But at the runtime, we can also add it or not. Let us check this point. So therefore, it is helping to the some scenario. So when class is a different file and you don't have any accessibility to modify the class structures. Now from the accessibility word, we have a three kind of accessibility: private, protected, and public. That part we will see definitely. So you wanted to extend the class functionality without changing its basic structure because many systems use the same structure. So let us say the very simple thing by the help of our example, then we will clear this picture right now. So now dynamically trying to add some instance to an object. Okay. So next our exercise would be the I'm putting the heading over here. Just move to this point. So dynamically adding instance variable instance method, sorry, not variable, instance method method to a object. Okay, to an object. We can say like this one. Yeah. So I'm taking the same example. So how we can do? So show part and constructor part I will keep as it is. So I'm defining a new method, and that part we will update. So let me copy the code from the student to this one. Yeah, this one. At this point, we will see something. So I'm putting the student 3. That is my class name. Please keep in mind the student 3 is our new class, and that is used to dynamically adding the instance method to an object. Now I'm creating a new method that is only the welcome method. You can define whatever the method you want to take. So I'm defining it. So I'm defining the xyz method only, and here I'm just passing the self and then this method, and here I'm just printing the printer, and here printing self dot name and comma. I'm putting here welcome to my class. This my lecture. I can say like this one. Okay, and this is the simple statement I'm defining. So here I'm defining the uh, new method, new method. This method we have to define over here. And now, yes. So dynamically adding the instance method to an object. Let me execute this code. Let us check if there is error or not. We will focus on the xyz our method. So let me add this code. Yes. Now, so student 3 is our class. So let me take the temp 3 is my object. I'm creating the student 3 now. Here I'm passing the something A, B, C, and A is I'm taking only 10 my learning purpose, and I'm trying to print the temp 3 by the help of the show method. So I should print the A, B, C, and 10. Same as we have seen the many times. So we are getting the many things. Let us check. This part is working or not? Yes. Now this part is perfectly working. So now our objective is over here. We need to add new method that is xyz to the temp3. So how we can add? That is the point. So here what we have to do, we have to add new defined method xyz to the object, and which is object temp3. So how we can do? Let us check this one. Uh, we have to use some concept temp3 dot, and what is the name of the method which is a part of this one xyz. I need to add is equal to types dot method, types dot method. Please keep in mind types dot method type type, and which is the name of the what is the name of the method? That is xyz dot xyz dot comma to the object temp 3. Okay. So what I'm doing, I'm just doing the adding the instance method to the object, and this concept is known as adding the instance to the object. Object. So now here we are trying to get the error types is not available. Can anyone tell me why I'm getting the error? So it means I need to define the here important point import types. Put type. We have to import types, not type actually with the help of the types. So types we have to call. Types is our library, and this is the library which is used to transform one object into the another object. Add instance of method into the object. So this is the reason we need to use this one. And in the types we have a method type method. I'm speaking once again, please keep in mind. Types is our class in which method type is a method that is used to add an object that is used to add one instance method into the object. So what is object? That is a temp3. What is a method? XYZ, and we're trying to add these two things. Okay, so let us add. Let me execute this code. What we are getting? Any error? We are, yes, XYZ is. We have to define new method that is XYZ to the object. Yes, we are getting. We have to add a new defined method XYZ to the object. Okay, so adding this one. Let me take one. No, that is not way. Types is not defined actually. We are getting here should be, yeah, I'm just going the right direction, but this is what actually types is a matter, so we are not getting anything. Name types is not defined. Let me check this is option or not. Yes, this is the reason. So tem3 dot xyz, adding the instance of the object name types is not defined. We have to add new defined method. Okay, so this is already let me execute once again. Yeah, now it is executed. And now this one I need to execute once again. Is 23, and now let me yes. So name xyz is not defined. XYZ is already defined over here. There's no error. So why we are getting the error? Oh, okay. So what we have to do? Yes, got the point. Where we are getting. This is the new defined method, which is outside we're trying to add. And this method should not be a part of the class. Let me check once again. Okay, what we are doing, we're trying to add the new method to the instance method, which is already defined. Yes, that's the point. So let me clear once again. The method should not be part of the class. Okay, and which is to be added to the instance method to a class. Please keep in mind. This is the point. Okay. So this method should not be a part of our class. Okay. So which is class? Class name. Class name student3. It is written. Now let me execute this code once again in front of you. So this method as an expiser should not be a part of the class, and we're trying to add this method to the above class instance method. So dynamically. And now I'm just trying to print over here. And now I'm trying to add over here. So with the help of the types class inside the types method, we're trying to do so like this one. So now we got this point right now. Okay, and now after this point, let me print something. So now m3 dot, so what we are getting, let me see what we are getting. Yeah, we are getting no problem over here. And now let me print some more things over here. Temp3 dot xyz, and what we can get is, so let us check. Yeah, so this is added over here, and that defines what? This defines that this this else us to XYZ function or method we can say is added to the object dynamically or uh, at the runtime. Please keep in mind. Yes, this is the point. This is the concept we need to understand while making the many things. Why this concept is required? Suppose after defining the class we forget to add some method to our class. So outside the class we can define and we can add dynamically as our required. This is the concept we have seen over here. Now it is clear to all right now? Yes, tell me, anyone who need to ask any question? Why we have to see this concept? We have seen this concept to understand whenever we are forgetting to define any public function or any kind of function of such class, then we can define the method outside and then we can also add by the dynamically. So this is the concept which is known as the dynamically adding a method to the instance method. That is the point. So now it is clear to all right now. So by the help of the object and followed by the types class we can do. So please do not forget to import the types class. Now it is clear to all right now. Yes, sir. Yeah. So this is the reason we have seen over here. So this is the idea about the instance method. So far we have seen from the this part. So far we have seen, and I have written everything over here. It is clear, or anyone who need to ask any questions, so please you can ask. Else, I would like to tell something more for a benefit purpose, then you can easily understand some more point. So in between, you can also speak the something just access specifier or access modifier in the Python. What is mean by the access modifier? Can anyone tell me? Let me continue this point right now. This one, yeah, this one. So can anyone tell me right now what is access modifier? If you don't have any doubts, so please you can speak over here. I can type according to your need. Yes, tell me. What is access modifier? Not what is, what are actually. We have multiple, so let me write correctly. Yes, what are the access modifiers? Just speak. Can anyone tell me?
So access modifiers are a type of like they grant different type of accesses to variables.
Mhm. So in various object-oriented programming like C++, Java, Python, we have some control access modifiers, and these access modification modifiers also known as access specifier. And if you remember, very practically protected, private, and public. So we can have something this is required to understand over here this concept, because when we discuss the inheritance, this concept is more applicable. So which are used to, which are means the all these things I'm talking about, the access specifier are used to restrict access the variable and methods. Variables and method means, if you remember the my words, state, attributes, data member, all these are the some variables I'm speaking. Method means data member, a member function, or some functions which are used to operate our class of a class. So most programming language has a three form of the access specifier or modifiers. We can say specifier or modifiers is only naming conventional, nothing else, and which are public, protected, and private. So in the Python, we have to use the underscore symbol that determines the access control for a specific data member or a member function of a class. So access specifier in the Python have an important role to play in securing data from the unauthorized access and in preventing it from the being exploited. And that is the reason I've already spoken to many times and many students why we need to follow the class. Class is used to provide the security mechanisms to hide your data. So this is about hiding data information, hiding data abstraction, class encapsulation. All these are the important role to explain your providing the security to the class. And this is the important concept of the object-oriented programming, and which is not liable to the procedure-oriented programming. So let us understand step by step all these things. By the help of the programming, I will tell you, and the notes you can easily get it from the MS Team. I will share. Don't worry. So class in the Python has three type of the access specifier. One is a public specifier or public specifier. modifier, protect access modifier, and private access modifier. So here I would like to tell some example before moving to the inheritance part. So here I'm just writing something over. So public protected and next is private. Okay. So here there is important concept. Please keep in mind this is known as the underscore. What is underscore in the Python? Can you tell me right now what is the role of the underscore Python? This underscore in Python, this is known as underscore programming. Not somehow just some people say underscore programming. So people keep in mind the some underscore is a symbol that is defined to all these things. So underscore is what is it? Underscore in Python means I'm writing here means means defines all the axis specifier or modifiers, okay, of a class. Please keep in mind this is the important points. So here I'm just giving the hint. If you want to make, suppose I'm defining a class. Okay, let me define the class temporary. In this class, how we can define the public, private, and protected. This is the notes which help you definitely, undoubtedly. So if I need to make my variable as a public data member function, so how I can make? Anyone who have any idea, or just you just can explore your idea, or should I explain? Okay, so public data member, how we can define? Okay, so public data member. Suppose I need to define the public data member. So what I have to use? What I have to use? Can anyone tell me? Only see PUB public variable I'm defining, or I am defining anything just like the 5. So this is what, this is the my public data member. Okay, and I've tried to define the protected data member. How I can define protected data member? I can define by putting the underscore, and I'm writing the protect pro, variable, just temporary variable I'm taking and putting the value 50. Now this is clear right now. Protected data member, how you can define? Just an example I'm giving you. And if you want to define the private data member, it means outside the class no one can access. Okay, public data member can be easily accessed by every classes, and protected data member easily accessible by only the its inherited class, next inherited class. Okay, that is the point. Only child can access the property of the parent class, but grandchild or grandchildren class cannot access the properties of parents, so we have to use the protected. Now private data member. Okay, how I can define? It's very simple. Double underscore you have to take. Private data member, and I'm taking the PRIY only just variable. I'm just taking the 500. Suppose just only temporary value. I'm just defining. For example, this is a simple example. So if you remember the my words, I have taken the double underscore in front of the init function. So what I'm defining? Can anyone tell me right now what I'm defining over here? Yes, tell me what I'm defining over here. Init function would be public, private, or protected. Tell me.
So private.
It will be private. It means no, this function will not be accessible outside the class. That's the reason. So we have used this function as our constructor only. But suppose I am defining, okay, just let me come to the my example. Yeah, yes, here. So here suppose I'm defining the constructor. So I can define by the init, no issue. But if I need to define the public function, then how we can define? Okay. So here I need to define the public function, which is also known as the member function. So I'm writing only the function for sufficient notes purpose. So how I can define? DIF PUBFUN, and I'm just temporary. I'm just defining define it like this way, nothing else. Okay, just simple sake of the example only. Okay, and in this case, I'm just printing nothing. I'm just printing only a message, a public member, public function. No, to write more. Okay, for understanding. So this is a concept. But if I need to define the protected function, so how I can define? Can anyone tell me right now? Function. So the if keyword will be applicable undoubtedly. So tell me how I can define the protected function. Just having seen the example of the data member, you can easily understand. Just see
So
the example.
one underscore and function name.
Yes. Yeah. So protected. I'm just taking the example like this one and putting the semicolon, and I'm printing. What I'm printing? I'm printing the protected, just like this one. Protected function, and this is the point. Okay. Same thing. I need to go for the private. So how I can take? I need to make the my function as a private. So outside the class, which is not accessible. So how I can define? So that is only beauty. Simple. So I can use the define, and I need to put the double underscore, and then so what I can do? I can use the pri just like this one, and putting the semicolon and print uh, private function. Okay. So this is a way of defining the functions. I can easily define. So private, public, protected, I can easily define as about to the my requirement. Okay. Now you can also modify this function by putting the self. Okay, you can use as according requirement. So I have not passed any parameter. This is sample example I have taken here in front of you how you can define all these things function. So step by step we will see. But where we can use all these things. So what is X specifier? X specifier are the public, protected, and private, which used to accessibility of one class to another class feature. Just like example, I'm taking the simple example. From the parent class, you are not allowed to take all the properties. So how you can define the parent class? You need to define all the variables, all the function as a private. But you want to access giving the accessibility to its next child class only. So you need to make your variable or data member as a member function as a protected. But you want to give it as a publicly so everyone can easily access it. Grandchildren can also easily access. Grandchildren means grandchildren classes can easily accessible, of course. So you need to make it as a public. So these are the basic things we have seen over here. Definitely, we will see all the concept in deeply in our next class, followed by the inheritance only. But this picture should be clear in your mind that how we can define.